Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Jamin's Daily. And today we're bringing you another movie review, John Carpenter's The Thing. Epic B movie. Arguably the greatest B movie ever made. 1982 American science fiction horror film, folks. And I'm here to give you some insights. All right. So, to begin with, The Thing is what John Carpenter. The movie, The Thing, is part of John Carpenter's apocalyptic or apocalypse trilogy. Okay? It's the first installment. There's three of those: The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and then Into the Mouth of Madness. Okay? 82, 87, 1994, when those movies were made. And we've seen Prince of Darkness. Loved it. The Thing. Great movie. I'm going to let you know why in just a moment. John Carpenter's The Thing in 1982 was not well received by the critics. If you watch this movie, there are scenes that are epically gory. Okay, there's epic gore. There's scenes. When I was watching, you have to have a strong stomach. I almost had to turn away because it is kind of stomach turning, gut wrenching. All right, but that's what makes it so great. But at the time, 1982, guys, this is 40 plus years ago. You know, there were women clutching their pearls. It was pornography gore is what I think John Carpenter was quoted as saying, that he was alleged of being a pornographer of gore. That it was just too much. It was ahead of its time, folks, because fast forward many years later, now it's considered to be one of the greatest B movies ever, top 10 perhaps horror film ever made. You know, it gets all kinds of love now, but not then. And John Carpenter has said, and he's quoted saying that if that movie had done better, his whole career, he probably wouldn't have done Christine, probably wouldn't have done Big Trouble in Little China. Who knows? Many of these movies he would not have done if The Thing had been a bigger commercial success. Because it wasn't necessarily a flop. It had a $15 million budget. It made about $19 million. So it didn't lose money, but it didn't make a lot of money. And he was coming off of 1978 Halloween, and so there were big things in store and expected of him, and it didn't meet it. And apparently, according to him, after that, Universal just bought his contract out. He still had maybe a couple movies left on his contract, and they bought him out. He was tainted. He was spoiled goods, I guess, maybe. But then look, he went on to make several more classics. Several. The thing also about the movie, now that it's a cult classic, not only did it break even and make a little bit of money, but they made a fortune, folks, on the VHS home video market. Okay, folks? And then selling it, licensing it to cable, HBO and stuff, folks. People love this movie on their cable networks on home VHS. And now it's streaming. So it really is. It had it's a classic. People are still getting paid because people are still watching this movie 41 years later. Now, one of the reasons for ever watching a John Carpenter film is always the score and the soundtrack. And one of the things people don't know is that John Carpenter's father was a music professor. So he had some kind of musical background and aid and help when it came to making music. And according to him, he got even further into it when he went to film school at USC, and he began helping his peers, his friends, with their own score, soundtracks to the films they were making. So can you imagine the practice? That's how you become an expert at something, is by doing it and loving it. Imagine going to film school and all your buddies like, hey man, let's make a score, let's make a soundtrack to this movie that I'm making for class. So he had so much practice making all these scores or making soundtracks to films way back then when he was in school. This man is 75 years old. Have you ever heard the score and the music on Halloween? It's classic. Okay. Now, the score and the soundtrack for The Thing is not solely done by John Carpenter, and he doesn't get the full credit. The full credit goes to a gentleman, a world-renowned, all-time great. I think one of the words that was used to describe him was as what's the word when he just has so much work. He put out so much work. Great prolific Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone was the composer. It's a classic soundtrack, bro. If you listen to it, it's so... Now, here's the thing. When you go onto the Wikipedia, John Carpenter wanted the music to sound European, accordingly. Apparently. Maybe Baroque style somehow. I don't know. But European. So he flies to Italy, meets Ennio Morricone, and they talk about it, and then he leaves. Apparently, Ennio Morricone did about 40 minutes of score and composition without ever even seeing the movie. Okay, and sends it over to John Carpenter, which he's able to then, he adds his own, he was able to put in what he later just simplifies as as sound effects. It's music. He wouldn't even want to call it music. He added sound effects to the score on certain things to jazz it up, I would imagine, and help make it his own. But the score and the credits go to Ennio Morricone for the soundtrack, and it is it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's eerie. It's got all kinds of... You just have to listen to it. You can watch it on YouTube. Okay, folks? Now, moving on. One of the main themes of the movie, because we're not going to get into the whole plot and go on and on and on. I'm about to wrap this up. One of the other things about The Thing, other than Kurt Russell, there's many actors in this movie that you will recognize, okay, from other movies. But one of the main plot is that an alien ship crash lands. A research team finds it. The alien that's in this spaceship is some type of organism that's trying to invade, imitate, and there's a concept and a theme of metamorphosis. Okay, metamorphosis, which is, I believe, a recurring and common theme in some of these sci-fi horror films of metamorphosis. Because anything other than a butterfly, okay, we're all cool with the butterfly and the worm turning into the caterpillar, turning into a butterfly. That's a beautiful metamorphosis, all right. But for the most part, something turning into something else has always been thought of as somewhat horrific, all right? And This movie does or follows that tradition in which the alien comes into contact and then there's this metamorphosis changes and turns into these ugly, horrific, scary organisms, which makes it scary and it makes it horror for a horror film, folks. Metamorphosis. Heard it here on Jamin's Daily in-depth review, not of the plot and all the minutia of a silly movie. You can watch it yourself. Come to your own conclusion. We're just talking about certain things that Jamin, me, here on Jamin's Daily, find appealing. Maybe you'll like it. You can rent this for like $3 or $4. Apple TV. I'm sure Roku, anything else, you can probably also rent it. I think it was for sale too. I didn't buy it. I rented it so that I could do this review, and because I'm trying to accomplish and watch the trilogy, the Apocalypse trilogy by John Carpenter, who has become one of my favorite film directors. Because in 2023, you watch movies, they're so heavily produced in the sense, and when I say produced, I'm talking about, again, the green screen, even though I'm sitting right in front of it. Like, these movies, they're so reliant on the technology and the green screen that it really is, there's some kind of nostalgia, there's some kind of, I don't know, there's just some kind of feeling to the older movies. There's a cheesiness to it where the graphics don't need to be the best on some of these movies, specifically on the horror genre. Now, if you're making a superhero movie, you have to have all the CGI and stuff. But for great horror, nah, I don't think so. And for other, just a drama of sorts, you don't need all that as well. But, folks, I think you catch my drift. The Thing, 1982, John Carpenter. Hope you liked these little insights. Remember, stay tuned to Jamin's Daily. You can find me on Facebook. Please be my friend. Be my friend. I'm begging you. I'm like, I have no friends. I've been bullied. Come on, be my friend. And like and share. Share this on Facebook, on Instagram, all those things. And then I'm very close to 100 subscribers on YouTube. I'm at 92. So if you're watching this, subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Your mother, your father. Anybody who loves you. If you ask them to subscribe, they probably will. Okay? So, folks, till the next time, we're going to very soon, probably within the next week, gonna do the final and third installment of the Apocalypse trilogy, which is In the Mouth. I don't even know the name of this silly movie now. In the Mouth of Madness. And you know who's in that movie? Sam Neill, the guy from Grant from Jurassic Park. All right. And I want to say that's around the same time. I don't know when Jurassic Park came out. This movie came out in 1994, In the Mouth of Madness. I think Jurassic Park is around that time. Anyways, thanks for joining me, folks. Till next time, stay tuned because the best is yet to come.